Hello there, it's Jonathan at the Piano Lesson. Hope everyone's doing well. Uh, I might have mentioned that I'm having fun on Friday evenings, going down to a new jazz club in the Portland area called Conway's, and Conway's House of Jazz, and just kind of sitting in. It's almost more fun in many ways just to sit in than it is to actually get a gig. Because if you get a gig, well, then you gotta make sure that you show up, and you have to get guys to play with you, and you have to arrange all kinds of stuff and figure out how much money everyone's going to get, which is usually not very much. And you have to, sometimes figure out what tunes you're going to play, et cetera, et cetera. Could be a little stressful, but it's nice to just kind of show up at a jam session and no stress, play a few tunes, hang out a while, have some fun, meet some friends, and go home. That's kind of what I've been doing. It's been very nice. I was never a jazz jam guy. I never sort of wanted just to show up at a place and kind of hope for the best. I don't know, but as I'm getting older, I'm just enjoying that. So I went by, and this time I thought, I'm just kind of playing tunes, just whatever kind of grabs me at the moment. But I have this enormous collection of music that I used to bring out on gigs all the time, which I haven't done in a while, but I'm starting to look at it again. And what tunes do I want to play that I haven't been thinking about, aren't on the forefront of my mind? And I thought, there's a song, there's my hand, there's a song by Ahmad Jamal, the great Ahmad Jamal. For those of you who don't know Ahmad Jamal, please look him up. I had the good fortune of meeting him several times and hearing him play live on several occasions, once in New York and I think several times in Seattle. And there's a tune of his called Night Mist Blues. And it's a blues and it's not a blues. So when a musician uses the word blues, they typically mean something specific. Like if you say hamburger, you mean something specific. So a blues means something in terms of what chords you're going to use, and it also means something in terms of how many measures of music you're going to play. In this instance, it's bluesy, okay, rather than a blues. It's only really 8 bars rather than the typical 12-bar blues, so a bar or a measure, as it were. And it does use the typical kind of chords. A blues is going to be 1-4-5, so 1-4-5 in the key of F would be F, B flat, C, and usually the dominant chords, so F7, B flat 7, C7, and in various combinations and permutations and things. But this one has an interesting little twist to it, and I'm just going to play a little of it for you, and you can listen to it for a second, and then we'll go through it, and I'll tell you why I think it's a really cool tune. It's not hard to play. Well, let's say this. I say anything that's easy isn't simple, and anything simple is not so easy. This is simple. It's not so easy, okay, but the melody of the tune, that's a fun. I'm going to put my bird's eye camera on here, and you can kind of see what I'm talking about. That's the first melody. I use kind of an odd fingering. Sometimes I have the strangest fingering. I play 2-4. Why do I do that? Well, sometimes if you have fingers that are next to one another, it just feels like I can articulate better that way. That's something that you won't see anybody talk about. You can even go 1-2-5. Use whatever feels good in your hand, and experiment. If I'm repeating a line, I might even use different fingers. I might go like that. That's the first melody. That's the whole tune. So what is that? I mean, it's really just, let's look at all the notes in the melody. Let's take a little inventory. This is kind of how, you learn a tune. Everybody learns a tune in a different way. But you try to make sense out of it so you can memorize it. So the lowest note is D. Okay, that's the lowest note. And the highest note, well, it kind of goes up to D there. It goes up actually even higher to D flat, and then there's the D flat there. But there's your D. There's an F. There's a G. There's a C. And then we have that interesting G there. And then A flat. There's an A flat in there. And then an A natural. I'm just going to stick it over there. Look at all those notes. So let's write them out. Let's just kind of write out there. There's your D. There's an F. There's an A. There's a C over here. There's your basic. There's your basic triad, right? I mean, that's just your basic F triad. There's your G. There's your A flat. There's another D up here. There's an E flat, right? There's a D flat, and then an E flat. But right, so there's your notes. What is that? Well, it's this. It's a pentatonic scale. That's a major pentatonic. Those are the black keys on the piano. And if you rearrange those notes, I'll put this note over here. Well, that's another scale, potentially. It's an inversion of that. Here's another scale, potentially. Here's another scale. Here's another scale. That's would be considered a minor pentatonic, but it's also an inversion of the same. It's the same notes. So it's really, in my mind, it's really this group of notes. All right, and then so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're going to skip that because that's the same as down there. 7, 8 different notes. There's your scale. We left out the A flat. I left out the A flat. Here's the pentatonic. If you add that blues note in there, that's sort of how I learn it. I mean, let's basically think of it as an F7 chord, all right? But the tune is this. Let me write some chords down. Where's my eraser? Oh, there we go. Okay. Do you guys ever miss using a real like pen and paper? You know, that's the way I do this. I really don't like all the digital stuff. It kind of drives me crazy. So, but 1, then 2, 3, 4, so it really starts on, if you're counting in 4, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. There's a big incomplete measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Da 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 ba da B flat ba ba da ba ba 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Ba da 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 ba A flat minor 7, D flat 7. It's a 2, 5. You know, I'm going to write these chords differently because I can't fit them all in here like that. F7, another measure. B flat 7, another measure. A flat minor 7, D flat 7. Okay, that's a split measure, 2 counts each. These hash marks tell you how many counts. So, you know, 4, 4, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 2 ba 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 da B flat 7, boom boom. This is a repeat sign. Da ba ba A flat minor 7, D flat 7, G minor 7, da C7, A7, D7, G minor 7, C7, 2 counts, 2 counts, 2 counts, 2 counts, 2 counts, 2 counts. So again, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bars. So this is an 8-bar blues, kind of. There is such a thing. There's your F7. Now I kind of spread out the chord a lot. That note almost sounds like a 13. It is a 13. There's your B flat 13. The melody just kind of really outlines the nice notes in the chord. So this is really, even though I'm saying F7, that's the basic chord, there's a 13 in there. And likewise with the B flat, there's a 13 in there as well. Now what do I mean by a 13? Okay, if you take a scale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, right? And you, each one of this is a second, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and the eighth or the octave, ninth, which is the same note as the second, 10th, which is the same note as the third, 11th, which is the same note as the fourth, 12, which we don't really mention typically, and then 13, which is the same note as the sixth. Why isn't it a sixth? Well, it's not a sixth. You can hear the difference. It's not a sixth because it's up an octave, and there's a seventh in there, and you have that crunchy dissonant sound. That's really a jazz sound. That's really intense too. But this basic F7 chord, all right. Now watch. A minor 7, D flat 7. And I really spread out those chords. E flat, D flat, and then the chord. And then, oh, I played the wrong note. G minor 7, C7, and then A7, D7, G. I mean, that's the whole tune. That's the whole thing. Okay, and so some of the sounds you want to know. Again, this blues scale. I mean, that's pretty important. F, A flat, B flat, B natural, C, E flat, and F. And I don't know if you noticed, but a lot of these chords, you can, the thing about playing the blues is you could just play one note or one scale and it works over the whole thing. F, A flat, B flat, B natural, C, E flat, and then we're back to the F again. F, A flat, B flat, B natural, C, E flat, and F. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 notes, and then the seventh one's the octave. A little unusual there. But here's your chord notes, F, and you have the C, you have the root, and you have the fifth, okay? And here's your flatted 7. But then you don't have any A natural, even though all of this would be played over an F7 chord. That's the interesting thing about jazz. The F7 chord, what are the notes in the F7 chord? It's F, A natural, C, E flat, right? But, I mean, that's the whole kind of magical thing about jazz. You have the A natural and the A flat together. Now, in fairness, what note would that be? Well, root, 3rd, 5th, 7th. This would be considered a 9th, or potentially. So what's the 9th? G. F, G, A, B, C, D, E, F, that's 8. G is 9, sharp 9. So F7, sharp 9. Now here's where we get into the spellings the spellings are a little confusing because I'm spelling this as A flat. Why am I spelling it as A flat? Well, because I like to, because it makes more sense. That's really the sound. There's no notation for this in music, but it's F minor over F major. It's really this sound. You know, if I say F7, horizontal line, the horizontal line is something we call a polychord. We used to call it a polychord. You don't hear much about those anymore, but different than a horizontal line. This is a vertical line. But here's major, here's minor, and here's jazz, right in the middle. It sounds like a guitar player bending a note. And that, listen to that sound. What the heck is that? Well, I would call that a sharp 11. A B natural, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, sharp 11, that's the B natural. So that jazz sound really encompasses all of that. How would you notate that? Well, G, F, how would I do it? F7 over G. So the G, B, D is the G, and this is the F. Root, 3rd, 5th, 7th, 9th, sharp 11, 13. That's a quick way to get at that chord. Notice I'm sliding on that note too. Ninths are, this is a ninth, by the way. That's a little easier to grab in the left hand than a tenth. Here's a voicing. I typically wouldn't want to double the seventh. I might do that. That's a nicer voicing, so I'm not duplicating any notes. It's a nice voicing. I'm playing with flatter fingers too, because I'm stretching. And also, when you play with flatter fingers, there's an advantage and a disadvantage. But the sound is because you have padding on the fingertips, it kind of delays the key from going down, and it gives the music a little bit more of a I don't know, not quite as sharp a sound. You know, believe it or not, it's kind of a Russian technique. You watch Vladimir Horowitz playing with flatter fingers as opposed to the fingertips, and tossing the finger kind of at the key, which is a little bit more brilliant. So you might play the lower notes with the flatter fingers and then toss the upper fingers in to get that sound to kind of pop out. So it's the quality of sound too. That's nice. Now I like to double notes. I like to double notes. Notice I kind of did a grace note up there, and I delayed the chord like a big band arrangement, and then now that's an interesting voicing. So a quick way to get at that voicing might be to think of it again in terms of a triad. Here's a B flat triad. Here's a G and an F. That's your minor chord, G minor 7. That's the top part. When you play the C, don't play the E here. That's not a great idea. Hear that? Not. No, never, never, never. So, listen. Hear that? Common left-hand pattern. Those are all sixths. You hear that a lot in country western music. Here I'm just outlining the chord. And let's just go through just do a few Roman numbers before we go. So we're running out of time real fast here, but the F7, right, that's the 1 chord. The B flat 7, that's the 4 chord. And then you have that 2-5, but let's that's A flat minor 7, D flat 7. That's a 2-5 in the key of G flat. All right, that's a half step above the G. Then we have the G minor 7, C7, right? That's just a plain old 2-5 in the key of F, or the key of F. And then when we go to the A7, that's the 3 chord, A7, 3. Now, the 3 chord typically is a minor chord, but you can have a 3 chord as a dominant, D7 is the 6, and then 2 is back to G minor, and C7, 2-5. Okay. So there's a little music theory for you. And that's Night Miss Blues. And I hope you guys had fun. I'm going to run. Keep those cards and letters coming. I apologize for not getting back with everyone sooner. But I do all appreciate you watching and listening, and I'm eager to communicate. So we'll see you soon. This is Jonathan at the Piano Lesson, signing off.